The voice in your head that never stops talking is not you. Let me repeat that. The incessant, compulsive, chattering narrator that has been commenting on your life since you were a child. The voice that judges, speculates, complains, and worries. That voice is not you. And the unconscious belief that it is you is the source of almost all the suffering in your life. It is the greatest obstacle to enlightenment, the hidden root of your anxiety, and the fundamental addiction of all humankind. It is a case of mistaken identity on a cosmic scale, and waking up from it is the most profound liberation you can ever experience. Today, we journey into a book that isn't just a book. It is a portal. It is a living transmission of a state of consciousness that has been sought by mystics and sages for millennia. We are diving deep into Eckhart Tolle's modern spiritual masterpiece, The Power of Now, a Guide to Spiritual Enlightenment. This isn't a book you read with your mind. It's a book you experience with your entire being. It doesn't offer you new information to add to your collection of knowledge. It doesn't give you a new set of beliefs. Instead, it offers a radical method for subtraction, for letting go of the false to discover the truth that has been there all along. The grand promise of this book is not happiness, which comes and goes, but a deep, unshakable inner peace that arises from beyond the mind. It promises a way to end the suffering you create for yourself, to dissolve the pain of the past, and to stop generating anxiety about the future. It offers, in the truest sense of the word, salvation, but not salvation in some distant heaven or far-off future. Salvation, right here, right now. Eckhart Tolle, the author, is not a guru in the traditional sense. He doesn't offer complex rituals or rigid doctrines. His own story is the key to understanding the power of his message. For the first 30 years of his life, he lived in his own words in a state of almost continuous anxiety, punctuated by periods of suicidal depression. One night, not long after his 29th birthday, he woke up with a feeling of absolute, unbearable dread. The world felt hostile, meaningless, and the most loathsome thing of all was his own existence. In that moment of ultimate despair, a thought kept repeating in his mind, I cannot live with myself any longer. And then, a moment of stunning clarity, he became aware of what a peculiar thought that was. Am I one or two? If I cannot live with myself, there must be two of me, that the I and the self that I cannot live with. In that instant, his mind stopped. There were no more thoughts. He felt himself being drawn into a vortex, a void. Fear gripped him, but then he heard the words, as if spoken from inside his own chest, resist nothing, and he let go. The next morning, he awoke to a world transformed. The chirping of a bird was the most beautiful sound he had ever heard. The first light of dawn filtering through the curtains was love itself. Everything was fresh and pristine, pulsating with life. The intense pressure of his suffering had forced his consciousness to withdraw from its identification with the unhappy, fearful self. The fiction of the mind, and the self, had collapsed into one. What was left was pure consciousness, pure presence. He had stumbled through grace and crisis into the state he now calls the power of now. This book is the result of that transformation. It is his attempt to use words to point us toward that same timeless state of presence. So, as we explore its core teachings, I invite you to do something radical. Don't just listen with your mind. Feel for a sense of recognition from deep within. Because as Tolle himself says, he cannot tell you any spiritual truth that, deep within, you don't already know. The first, and most foundational, idea we must grapple with is the most revolutionary: you are not your mind. For most of us, this is a deeply counterintuitive statement. We have been conditioned to believe the opposite, an error most famously expressed by the philosopher Descartes. I think, therefore I am. We equate our very existence with the activity of thinking. But Tolle argues this is the most basic error, the original delusion. He asks us to become an observer of our own thoughts. Start listening to the voice in your head as often as you can. Pay attention to the repetitive thought patterns, the old gramophone records that have been playing for years. When you do this, something extraordinary happens. You realize there is the voice, and here you are, listening to it. This, I am. That is listening. This sense of your own presence is not a thought. It arises from beyond the mind. In that moment of observation, a new dimension of consciousness has come in. You are no longer possessed by the thinker. The moment you start watching the thinker, a higher level of consciousness becomes activated. You begin to realize that there is a vast realm of intelligence beyond thought, And that thought is only a tiny aspect of that intelligence. You begin to awaken. This voice, this unobserved mind, is what Tolle calls the ego. It's not ego in the Freudian sense, but rather the false mind-made self, created by unconscious identification with the stream of thinking. This egoic self cannot survive without its constant mental chatter. It lives entirely in the dimension of psychological time. It is obsessed with the past because the past gives it an identity. It constantly projects itself into the future, seeking some form of release or fulfillment there. It says, one day, when I get that promotion, when I find the right partner, when I fix my problems, then I am going to be okay, happy, at peace. To the ego, the present moment, the now, barely exists. It sees it only as a means to an end, a stepping stone to a future moment, or it sees the present through the distorted lens of the past, judging and labeling it based on prior experiences. This is the source of its deep dysfunction. Tolle states that about 80 to 90% of most people's thinking is not only repetitive and useless, but because of its often negative nature, much of it is also actively harmful. It is a serious leakage of vital energy. This compulsive thinking is an addiction. What characterizes an addiction? Simply this: you no longer feel that you have the choice to stop. It seems stronger than you, and it gives you a false sense of pleasure that invariably turns into pain. The mind loves to get its teeth into problems. Tolle asks a devastatingly simple question. Can you be free of your mind whenever you want to? Have you found the off button? If the answer is no, then the mind is using you. You are unconsciously identified with it, so you don't even know that you are its slave. The beginning of freedom is the realization that you are not the possessing entity, the thinker. It is to create gaps in the mind stream. When a thought subsides, you experience a discontinuity, a gap of no mind. At first, these gaps are short, a few seconds perhaps, but with practice they become longer. In these gaps, you feel a stillness and peace inside you. This is the beginning of your natural state of felt oneness with being, which is usually obscured by the mind. This isn't a trance-like state. On the contrary, in this state of interconnectedness, you are much more alert, more awake than in the mind-identified state. You are fully present. So the most vital step on your journey is this: learn to disidentify from your mind. Every time you create a gap in the stream of mind, the light of your consciousness grows stronger. One day, Tolle says, you may catch yourself smiling at the voice in your head, as you would smile at the antics of a child. This means that you no longer take the content of your mind all that seriously, because your sense of self no longer depends on it. You have realized you are not the voice, you are the one who hears it. This leads us to the second pillar of Tolle's teaching, the delusion of time and the profound power of the now. He states it plainly: time and mind are inseparable. To be identified with your mind is to be trapped in time, the compulsion to live almost exclusively through memory and anticipation. He writes, remove time from the mind and it stops, unless you choose to use it. This is a staggering concept. We perceive time as the most precious thing we have. Our entire lives are structured around it, but Tolle makes a critical distinction between two kinds of time: clock time and psychological time. Clock time is the practical aspect of time. We use it to make an appointment, plan a trip, learn from past mistakes, and set goals. It is a tool for functioning in this world, and it is necessary. Psychological time, however, is the disease. It is the ego's continuous identification with the past and compulsive projection into the future. It's the mental replay of old grievances, regrets, and glories. It's the perpetual anxiety, worry, and fantasizing about what is to come. This psychological time, Tolle insists, is a complete illusion. He asks, have you ever experienced, done, thought, or felt anything outside the now? Do you think you ever will? The answer is obvious. Nothing ever happened in the past, it happened in the now. Nothing will ever happen in the future, it will happen in the now. What you think of as the past is a memory trace, stored in the mind of a former now. When you remember the past, you reactivate that trace, and you do so now. The future is an imagined now, a projection of the mind. When the future comes, it comes as the now. Past and future have no reality of their own. Their reality is borrowed from the one and only thing that is ever real, the present moment. The now is all there ever is. It is the space within which your entire life unfolds. Life is now. There was never a time when your life was not now, nor will there ever be. Why is this so crucial? Because the now is the only point of access into the timeless and formless realm of being. It is your only escape from the prison of your own mind. As long as you are your mind, you are trapped in time, and you cannot find the present moment. The mind habitually denies and resists the now. Why? Because the egoic mind cannot function and remain in control without time. The timeless now is a threat to its very existence. It seeks to continuously cover up the present moment with past and future. And in doing so, the infinite creative potential of being, which is inseparable from the now, becomes obscured. This is why our lives so often feel stale, devoid of vibrancy and a sense of wonder. We are caught in endless repeat performances of old patterns of thought, emotion, and behavior, a script in our minds that distorts the reality of the now. Tolle shares the parable of a beggar who had been sitting on an old box by the side of a road for over 30 years. One day, a stranger walks by. "Spare some change," the beggar mumbles. "I have nothing to give you," says the stranger. "But what's that you are sitting on?" "Nothing," replies the beggar. "Just an old box. I've been sitting on it for as long as I can remember." "Ever looked inside?" asks the stranger. "No," says the beggar. "What's the point? There's nothing in there." "Have a look inside," the stranger insists. The beggar manages to pry open the lid. With astonishment, disbelief, and elation, he sees that the box is filled with gold. Tolle says, "I am that stranger who has nothing to give you and who is telling you to look inside. Not inside any box, but somewhere even closer, inside yourself. We are that beggar. We are sitting on a treasure of infinite value, the radiant joy of being, the deep, unshakable peace that is found only in the now. But we are looking outside for scraps of pleasure and fulfillment. We are looking to the past for identity and to the future for salvation, completely ignorant of the treasure that is already ours right here, right now." All negativity, Tolle asserts, is caused by an accumulation of psychological time and denial of the present. Guilt, regret, resentment, grievances, sadness, bitterness, all are caused by too much past and not enough presence. In these, anxiety, tension, stress, worry, all forms of fear, are caused by too much future and not enough presence. The mind tells you that the present moment is an obstacle. It tells you that your life situation, your problems, your finances, your relationships is your life. But Tolle urges us to see the difference. Your life situation exists in time. Your life is now. Your life situation is mind stuff. Your life is real. Forget about your life situation for a while and pay attention to your life. Find the narrow gate that leads to life. It is called the now. This brings us to a concept that is both deeply familiar and deeply misunderstood, the nature of emotional pain. Tolle offers a powerful model for understanding and dissolving it, which revolves around his third major idea, the pain body. He explains that as long as you are unable to access the power of the now, every emotional pain you experience leaves behind a residue of pain that lives on in you. This residue merges with the pain from your past, pain you suffered as a child, pain from adolescence, pain from every moment of your life when you were not fully present. This accumulated pain, he says, forms a negative energy field that occupies your body and mind. He calls this the emotional pain body. It's helpful to think of it as an invisible entity in its own right, a psychic parasite. This pain body has two modes, dormant and active. For most of the time, it might lie dormant, but when it's ready to awaken, even a seemingly innocent remark, a memory, or a thought can trigger it. For a deeply unhappy person, the pain body may be active almost all the time. When the pain body is triggered and takes you over, you become it. It speaks through you. It acts through you. It thinks through you. Its survival depends on your unconscious identification with it, and it needs to feed. What is its food? More pain. It will feed on any experience that resonates with its own energy frequency: anger, destructiveness, hatred, grief, emotional drama, violence. So when the pain body has taken you over, it will create a situation in your life that reflects back its own energy, so it can feed. You will pick a fight with your partner. You will become a victim or a perpetrator. You will want to inflict pain, or you will want to suffer pain, or both. You are not conscious of this, of course. You will vehemently claim that you do not want pain. But if you look closely, your thinking and behavior are designed to keep the pain going for yourself and others. To want more pain is insanity, and nobody is consciously insane. This is why the pain body is so terrified of the light of your consciousness. It is terrified of being found out. Tolle distinguishes between two types of pain: the pain you create now and the pain from the past that still lives on in you. The pain you create now is always some form of non-acceptance, an unconscious resistance to what is. The work, then, is to stop creating new pain and to dissolve the old pain, the pain body. How? Not by fighting it. You cannot fight the darkness. You cannot fight the pain body. Trying to do so would create inner conflict and thus further pain. The answer is to bring the light of consciousness to it. The moment you observe the pain body, feel its energy field within you, and take your attention into it, the identification is broken. You are now the witness, the watcher of the pain body. This means it can no longer use you by pretending to be you. It can no longer replenish itself through you. You have found your innermost strength. You have accessed the power of now. When you start to disidentify and become the watcher, the pain body will continue to operate for a while. It has a certain momentum, like a spinning wheel, that keeps turning even after it's no longer being propelled. It will try to trick you into identifying with it again. It may create physical aches and pains in different parts of the body. The key is to stay present, stay conscious, be the ever-alert guardian of your inner space. You need to be present enough to watch the pain body directly and feel its energy. It then cannot control your thinking. The moment your thinking aligns with the energy field of the pain body, for example, if anger is its predominant energy and you start thinking angry thoughts, you are identified with it again, and you are feeding it with your thoughts. This process is the esoteric meaning of the ancient art of alchemy, the transmutation of base metal into gold, of suffering into consciousness. The split within is healed, and you become whole again. Tolle also speaks of the collective pain body. Just as we have a personal one, humanity has a collective one, accumulated over millennia of war, torture, disease, and cruelty. Certain races or countries have heavier collective pain bodies, and every woman, he argues, has a share in the collective female pain body, which consists of the accumulated pain suffered by women through subjugation, slavery, rape, and childbirth over thousands of years. For many women, this collective pain body awakens just before the menstrual flow. Tolle suggests that this time, which is often a time of deep unconsciousness, can be transformed into a powerful opportunity for enlightenment. By bringing intense presence to the pain as it arises, a woman can transmute not just her personal pain, but her share of the collective pain, becoming a bridge between the manifested world and the unmanifested, between physicality and spirit. So how do we cultivate this state of presence? How do we access the now in a practical, tangible way? This brings us to the fourth key area of Tolle's work, the portals into the unmanifested. The unmanifested is Tolle's term for the formless source of all life. For being, for God, it is the timeless, spaceless reality from which all form arises and to which it returns. While the now is the main portal, Tolle provides several interconnected practices that anchor us in the present moment and open these doorways. The first and most important portal is the inner body. He explains that the physical body we can see and touch is only an outer shell, a limited perception of a deeper reality. To reclaim consciousness from the mind, we must direct it into the body. To feel the body from within, he guides us in a simple but profound meditation. Close your eyes. Direct your attention into the body. Is it alive? Is there life in your hands, arms, legs, feet? Can you feel the subtle energy field that pervades the entire body and gives vibrant life to every organ and every cell? Don't think about it. Feel it. By keeping some of your attention in the inner energy field of your body as you go about your day, you stay anchored in the now. You don't lose yourself in the external world, and you don't lose yourself in your mind. This practice is the key to having deep roots within. Without these roots, the mind, with its incredible momentum, will drag you along like a wild river. With these roots, no matter what happens on the outside, you remain still and at peace deep within. You are like a tree that is deeply rooted in the earth. Storms may come, but they cannot shake you. A second portal is surrender. Surrender is not defeat or resignation. It's not passively putting up with a negative situation. Surrender, Tolle explains, is the simple but profound wisdom of yielding to, rather than opposing, the flow of life. It is to relinquish inner resistance to what is. This inner resistance takes the form of mental judgment and emotional negativity. It is most pronounced when things go wrong, when there is a gap between the demands of our mind and the reality of the moment. That gap is pain. Surrender is to accept the present moment unconditionally and without reservation. This doesn't mean you can't take action to change a situation. In fact, in a state of surrender, your action becomes far more powerful. It arises not from reactive anger or fear, but from a deep, intelligent presence. If you cannot surrender to the situation on the outside, Tolle offers a second chance: surrender to what you feel on the inside. Do not resist the pain. Allow it to be there. Surrender to the grief, the fear, the loneliness. Witness it without labeling it. Embrace it. This is your crucifixion. Let it become your resurrection. By fully accepting your non-peace becomes transmuted into peace. This is the miracle of surrender. A third portal is silence. Every sound is born out of silence and dies back into silence. Silence enables the sound to be. It is the unmanifested aspect of every sound, every word. Tolle urges us to pay attention to the silence. Listen to the silence between sounds, the gaps between words in a conversation. Paying attention to outer silence creates inner silence. The mind becomes still. You have entered the unmanifested. A fourth portal is space. Just as no sound can exist without silence, nothing can exist without empty space. We pay attention to the objects in a room, but we ignore the space that allows them to be. He asks us to become aware of the space around us. Don't think about it, feel it. The inner equivalent to objects in space are our mind, objects, thoughts, and emotions. The inner equivalent of space is the consciousness that enables those mind objects to be. By becoming aware of the empty space around you, you simultaneously become aware of the space of no, mind, of pure consciousness. These portals, the inner body, surrender, silence, space, are not separate. They are all facets of the one great portal, the now. They are all practical ways to withdraw consciousness from the compulsive activity of the mind and to experience the stillness and aliveness of being. Finally, how does this profound inner shift transform the most challenging area of our lives? This leads us to Tolle's fifth exploration: enlightened relationships. He states, with uncompromising clarity, that unless and until you access the consciousness frequency of presence, all relationships, and particularly intimate relationships, are deeply flawed and ultimately dysfunctional. They may seem perfect for a while, especially when we are in love, but invariably that perfection gets disrupted by arguments, conflict, and dissatisfaction. Most love relationships, he observes, quickly become love-hate relationships. Love can turn into savage attack or complete withdrawal at the flick of a switch. This is because what we call love is often not love at all, but egoic attachment and addictive clinging. The reason the romantic love relationship is so intensely sought after is that it seems to offer liberation from the deep-seated fear, need, and incompleteness of the egoic state. On a psychological level, when you are identified with your mind, you have an externally derived sense of self. You get your identity from your job, your possessions, your achievements, your belief systems. This false, mind-made self, the ego, is vulnerable and insecure, always seeking new things to identify with to give it a feeling that it exists. Then, a special relationship comes along. It seems to be the answer to all the ego's problems. You now have a single focal point that gives meaning to your life, the person you are in love with. The underlying feelings of fear and lack seem to dissolve. But they haven't. They are just covered up. There comes a point when your partner behaves in ways that fail to meet the needs of your ego. The painful feelings resurface stronger than before. And now you perceive your partner as the cause of those feelings. You project them outward and attack. This attack awakens the partner's own pain, and they counter your attack. This is the drama of the love-hate cycle. Every addiction arises from an unconscious refusal to face and move through your own pain. You are using a person, just like a drug, to cover up your pain. When the drug no longer works, you feel the pain more intensely than ever. The relationship does not cause pain and unhappiness. It brings out the pain and unhappiness that is already in you. Can we change an addictive relationship into a true one? Yes. The key, whether you are living alone or with a partner, remains the same: being present. For love to flourish, the light of your presence needs to be strong enough so that you no longer get taken over by the thinker or the pain body and mistake them for who you are. The greatest catalyst for change in a relationship is complete acceptance of your partner as they are, without needing to judge or change them in any way. That immediately takes you beyond ego. All mind games and addictive clinging are then over. There are no victims, no perpetrators. You will then either separate in love or move ever more deeply into the now together. True love is not selective. It is the realization of oneness. It is to feel the presence of the one eternal life deep within yourself and within all creatures. To be it. Therefore, all love is the love of God. A relationship can become your spiritual practice, your sadhana. Whenever it brings out the madness in you and your partner, be glad. What was unconscious is being brought up to the light. It is an opportunity for salvation. If you can hold the knowing of whatever arises, anger, jealousy, pain, without reacting, you create a still space of loving presence. In that space, your partner's unconsciousness cannot survive for long. Unconsciousness and knowing cannot coexist. If you react to their unconsciousness, you become unconscious yourself. But if you remember to know your reaction, nothing is lost. Humanity is under great pressure to evolve, and this is reflected in our relationships. They are not here to make you happy. They are here to make you conscious. If you accept that, then the relationship will offer you salvation. So, what makes the power of now so radically different from the thousands of self-help and spiritual books on the market? It is not a book about enlightenment. It is a device designed to produce it. It bypasses the analytical mind that most books are written for. Tolle's language is simple, direct, and repetitive for a reason. He is not trying to build a complex philosophical argument. He is using words as signposts, attempting to jolt the reader out of their normal state of mind, identification, and into a direct experience of presence. Most spiritual paths are accumulative. They ask you to learn more, believe more, do more. Tolle's path is one of subtraction. It's about unlearning. It's about becoming aware of the dysfunctional patterns of mind so that they can fall away, revealing the radiant being that was always there underneath. This book is for the person who has a deep, nagging feeling that there must be more to life than the endless cycle of striving and suffering. It is for those in the grip of anxiety, depression, or a sense of meaninglessness, who have tried everything the world has to offer, success, pleasure, knowledge, and found it all to be ultimately unsatisfying. It is for the true seeker who is tired of seeking. Who is this book note for? It is not for the person looking for a quick fix or a new set of mental tools to achieve more worldly success. It's not for the hardened intellectual skeptic who is unwilling to suspend disbelief and engage with the material on an experiential level. If you want to analyze and deconstruct concepts, this book will frustrate you. Its power lies not in being understood, but in being lived. The single most valuable takeaway a reader is left with is a tangible, felt sense of their own presence. It's the life-altering realization that peace is not a future goal to be attained through hard work, but your natural state, available to you in every single moment simply by withdrawing your attention from the past and future and anchoring it in the now. You don't have to become peaceful. You only have to stop doing the things that disturb your innate peace. We began this journey by confronting a startling truth, that the voice in your head, the one you've always thought of as you, is in fact the greatest source of your suffering. We have explored Eckhart Tolle's profound roadmap to disidentify from that voice, to step out of the illusion of psychological time, and to find the deep, abiding peace that lies in the present moment. This summary is just the map, reading the book is the journey itself. To truly understand this, you have to let the author's words wash over you. You have to try the practices. You have to feel the shift in your own consciousness. If you are tired of the anxiety, the conflict, the inner noise, if you are ready to end the drama and discover a peace that passes all understanding, then your next step is clear. You are not just buying a book, you are accepting an invitation to awaken. The link to purchase The Power of Now is in the description below. Take the leap. Enter the now. And as always, if this summary has served you, please like, subscribe, and join us for the next deep dive into a book that can change your life.